during the Civil War. General Sherman said, "I am tired and sick of war. Its glory is all moonshine. War is hell."
If you like dystopian science fiction twists on classic literary monsters, I think you should check out Daybreakers. We're going to be doing an if-then statement style review, meaning if you like this, then you should probably check it out. If you don't, this might not be for you, because art is subjective and no one can tell you how you should feel about art except for you. So, if you like classic vampire lore, if you like science fiction reimaginings of classic lore, if you like Ethan Hawke or Willem Dafoe, if you're cool with some crazy dystopian violence and gore, you should be in with this. If, however, anything I just named does not sound like your cup of tea, this may not appeal to you. If you aren't cool with reimaginings of literary classic creatures and you're kind of a purist, this may not be your vibe. If you aren't okay with blood and violence, this may not be your game. If you can't enjoy a Resident Evil movie or an Underworld movie, this probably will not be in your wheelhouse. However, if you like Resident Evil or Underworld, there's a very good chance that this will feel good to you. Daybreakers is a movie that I found long ago, back when Netflix was something that still sold DVDs, or at least let you rent them. And for me, this movie immediately changed the way I think about both vampires and science fiction in general, because it builds on the concept of a dystopia where the vampires have fully won and what that would look like. The world building of what that implies is crazy, where blood is now the new economy, treated almost like oil when the movie was made, something that everyone seems to need to keep their economies rolling. And in this case, if you don't get enough blood, you turn into a Nosferatu-style monster, which is the in-universe explanation for why you can have sexier, more underworld-style vampires, but then also go full creature feature when you need to. And it's got a really cool twist on the way vampirism works and the way that you can fight it and all of those quirks that I will not be spoiling because I genuinely believe people should check this out. Something that still stands out to me is when Ethan Hawke needs to drive as a vampire during the day, and he drives around with like cameras and all of his windows blocked, which is a thing that you would need to do, and how Vampire Society has underground tunnels to get from, homes and buildings for work during daytime hours because they can't be in the sunlight. There's a real sense of like love and thought that went into every facet of Vampire Society. And, I'm sure there'll be some nerd out there who's like a civil engineer who would tell you that some of these things wouldn't technically work, but it puts enough thought into the concept that you can enjoy it and you can dive into it. And it feels like a lived enough world that you can get into it, kind of like John Wick. Like maybe that world couldn't exist in the real world, but cinematically, it makes sense. And frankly, it's just rare to find a movie that does that type of world building and does it that well. And this came out at the height of the sort of zombie, vampire, werewolf era, those mid-2000s to early 2010s, when there was another one every 3 months, it felt like. So it's easy to get lost, and some people were probably too young to have watched this movie when it came out who might be watching this video now. And I seriously think you should stop whatever your plans are for this evening and try to slot Daybreakers into that. For me, it's a genuine 10 out of 10. Not only does it riff on classic things that I love, not only does it seem to really exist within the genres that it chose to be in really well, but it redefined the way that I think about world building in fiction in general, not just as a consumer, but as someone who runs tabletop campaigns for me and my friends or writes short stories for fun. So this movie genuinely impacted me, and I cannot wait to hopefully get more people to go check it out. I mean, Sam Neill and Willem Dafoe and Ethan Hawke in a movie together is already kind of enough to get me in, even if it was a rom-com. But the fact that it's a sci-fi dystopia based on vampirism with genuinely beautiful aesthetics back when we still shot things on film, it's incredible. This movie looks good, it plays good, it feels good, and it has a really interesting twist and message at the end that I certainly didn't see coming when I watched it when I was younger. I can't sing this movie's praises well enough, but that doesn't mean that you'll love it or that you have to love it the same way or with as much intensity as I do. I've given you my if-then statements and personal experiences, but no one can tell you how to feel about a piece of art except for yourself. So I encourage you to seek it out and draw your own conclusions while also respecting the conclusions that others come to, whether they be more positive or more negative than your own. Because fundamentally, while art is meant to be a conversation between the creative team who made it and the consumer, it does not mean it needs to turn into a screaming competition. So go out, check out Daybreakers. Seriously, underrated, super fun. it slid under most people's radars, and it deserves to be up there in conversation with really fascinating reimaginings of science fiction, dystopia, and vampire lore.
I was like you once. And not no more. Lionel Cormac. My friends call me Elvis. I ain't gonna bite.